hey, and welcome to Shades of World Cup, our summer series covering the World Cup. Today, we talk about Australia, who will be competing in their seventh World Cup, going into the competition at 27th in the FIFA Coca-Cola rankings. Australia played in their first World Cup in 1974. This is wild. You have to go another 30 years to 2006 before the Socceroos clinched their place in the competition once again. But on the other end, 6 consecutive appearances for Australia, who will want to match their performance in 2022, losing to the future champions Argentina 2-1 in the knockout stage of the round of 16. To learn all about Australian soccer team, I have sports reporter for the West Australian, Shady Gang. Give it up for Ben Smith.
Hey man, thanks for having me on. Yeah, really excited to talk World Cup stuff. Like I was saying off air, I can feel the buzz growing. I've been in America for about a week now, and just even I'm currently in the Socceroos team training camp type thing in Oakland, and was having a nice chat to the Lyft driver on the way over about come World Cup.
Yeah, wow. How's the weather there comparable to Australia right now? Because is it the winter? Like, I'm a dumb American.
It
I
is.
apologize.
It is. No, it's all good. It is winter down in Australia at the moment. My hometown of Perth is currently getting absolutely hammered by rain. So it's been quite nice to come to sunny California. I was in Los Angeles and Pasadena last week, towards the end of last week. And this week I've been in the Bay Area, and the sun has been very appreciated. Like, not too windy, just very mild temperatures, but very sunny. And it just feels like it's shorts weather until it gets dark around 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. So it's pretty good.
That's good. I'm happy you're enjoying yourself. Well, I have the first two topics categories that are a little silly before we dive into the football. who, who are some, I guess, because you know how the World Cup happens, there'll be Australia games. I'm sure they'll show some random people on our television, and we might see some of them are not. Well, I guess you don't know, but I'm not saying give me a famous person who will be at the World Cup, but who are some like famous people that we may or may not know. Big up. Maybe there's some underrated actor or musician that you want to big up right now. Like, give us some homework as listeners and viewers who are some famous people. Extra points if they're into football.
Well, we've got a few A-listers coming out of Australia, the likes of Margot Robbie, Hugh Jackman, Nicole Kidman, Chris Hemsworth. We've got Thor, Chris, and all of the various associated Hemsworth brothers as well. I don't know how many of them are actually football fans. I know Chris Hemsworth loves his Aussie rules. I know Russell Crowe, I mean, technically he's a New Zealander, but we claim him as Australian anyway. He's really into his rugby league, although I believe he was briefly linked with a bid to buy Leeds a few years ago now. It didn't materialise, but he's certainly not adverse to sport, even if he is technically a Kiwi, but we claim him as Australia because that's just what we do. All the successful New Zealanders, we just claim as Australians. In terms of actual Aussie round ball games fans, there's not many big ones. The only one I can kind of think of is a guy by the name of Anthony LaPaglia, who had he's had a somewhat consistent Hollywood career, but he's never really made it big. I think he may have been in one or two big films as a character actor, but he hasn't really he's not a leading man.
Okay, let's see. Oh, I recognize this guy. Okay,
that's good because I probably wouldn't recognize him if he walked past me. I just know him by name.
That probably not. But once I looked him up, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy. Yes. Also, Empire Records is. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, that's fun. Thank you for that.
There'll probably be some really famous Aussies I haven't thought of who just pop up randomly on TV. We know how it works. They get free tickets because they're famous. They're plastered over social media.
Yeah.
And for a day they're a fan, and it's great. And then they go back to not really taking interest outside of that. But let's not get into that.
Let's not get into that at all. Okay, so next is I've been every single guest that we have on uh, play the national anthem of the country. We will be hearing it obviously when the competition begins, but it's good to be warmed up. I will be hosting some watch alongs, and I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes I turn that stuff down, and I'm like listening to other stuff right before kickoff, so I might miss it. So this is a great opportunity to check it out. I guess we'll listen to it. I'll give my thoughts on it, but I guess I'm very interested, as you know, you've heard it before, and how people feel about it and all of that stuff. Maybe there's some national anthem lore that you can inform me on too. So here we go. Let's get these other ads out of the way.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth fertile, our home is God by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strength, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Oh.
Beneath the radiant Southern Cross, we'll toil with hearts and hands to make this Commonwealth of ours renowned upon the lands. For those who come across the seas, we've boundless plains to share. With courage, let us all combine to advance Australia fair. In joyful strength, and let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Ooh, I love a big finish.
So you asked for a bit of lore. The second verse in that song is rarely, if ever, actually sung or performed when the national anthem is. Like
Okay.
I ever since I was a kid and I was taught the national anthem at primary school, which is our equivalent of elementary school, they never taught us the second verse. I know it started with "Beneath Our Radiant Southern Cross." Beyond that, I was at a loss. I was like, I don't know where this is going. In fact, you may have seen me laughing on camera because I was taken aback. It's like, oh, they're going for the second verse as well. It's yeah. I will say I don't dislike our national anthem, but I don't think it's as good as a lot of the other national anthems. Like, it's a shame. As funny as it is that Italy aren't at the World Cup again, it is sad because they have such a great national anthem.
You're the second person who said this now.
You hear the Italian national anthem, you're like, okay, I'm ready. This is awesome. I think the Brazilian one from memory is really good. There's some other really good ones I can't remember off the top of my head, but I've been saying for years we should replace the current Australian national anthem, Advanced Australia Fair, with Untouched by the Veronicas or Highway to Hell by AC/DC.
I would love that.
Because that's what gets me up and about. If I hear those violins on Untouched, I am jumping around. And if I was playing a World Cup game, like, would I rather listen to Advanced Australia Fair once I've walked out, or would I rather have the Veronica twins just absolutely slaying? I know which would pump me up more.
I mean, I'm with you. Yeah, no, that I I wrote a note. Advance Australia Fair. Is that like something people used to say? Advanced Australian Fair?
I don't think so. I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure many Australians, myself included, know the exact origins of our national anthem. And that's probably why it's not that popular.
Interesting. Yeah. It is. I like at the beginning where it's basically just like, we have all this amazing land. Come work on it. And we love it. And let's get this thing cooking. And yeah. And the flourish at the end. Yeah. Cause like even Paraguay's, it's really fun. It's like playful. It's like there's ups and downs and stuff. And then Turkey's is like so intense. Like, so like it's very USA and Australia. I feel like their national anthems are pretty similar, if we're being honest.
Yep.
Sorry,
I was just throwing shackers to one of my colleagues. I've just realized that came up on screen, but
no worries.
That's all good. It still fits. I did it when you stopped talking. So
no, you nailed it. I was just gonna keep on going. Honest. Hey, if you're watching, you will see it. But if you're listening, you can hear the people in the background. He's like in the thick of it. This is honestly, I'm very much enjoying all of it. Like it's a very cool. Thank you for fitting me into your busy schedule.
That's okay, man. Let's talk.
Yes, let's. Speaking of it, Tony Popovich. Popovic? How do you say his name?
Popovich. With a CH at the end.
Okay, cool. 50 caps for Australia, taking over a couple of years ago. There's something about having someone from the country manage the team. It just hits a little harder. Like it's like a combo multiplier type of thing. Obviously, we don't have it with USA. We have Potch, who's probably going to leave after the competition anyway. But I guess tell us a little bit about the manager, the style of football that he wants to have Australia play, and just other thoughts on him as a manager.
So Tony manages in a similar style to how he played. He was a hard-nosed defender. The peak of his career came at Crystal Palace, around 2004, 2005, 2006, around that range. He's had a successful managerial career in Australia. He took over Western Sydney Wanderers when that club was created, and in their second season, he led them to the Asian Champions League title. He had spent some time overseas, came back, managed Perth Glory, the local A-League men's club, who I cover full-time. He coached them to the league title in his first season there. He left to go overseas again and then came back, coached Melbourne Victory in the A-League again. He never quite broke through and won an A-League grand final. He was always in and around silverware, but the grand final, which is what all the teams play for, like the much smaller Australian football version of the Super Bowl, so to speak, to put it in American terms, way less grandiose. Way less grandiose. It's basically the final game of the year. We have a league season, then we have the playoffs, then we have the grand final at the end of the playoffs.
I mean, grand final is a very solid name for like the final match of it. Yeah, it's a great name.
But yeah, let's go back to September 2024. Graham Arnold, the Socceroos coach of the previous World Cup, he resigned abruptly 2 games into our final phase of qualifying, which was a 1-0 loss at home to Bahrain and then a 0 draw against Indonesia in Indonesia. So after two games into our 10-game final qualifying phase, Australia had 1 point from a possible 6 against 2 opponents they should have really beaten quite easily. Arnold resigned, stressing that he felt like he'd kind of taken the team as far as he could, was a bit tired, exhausted, burnt out, and certainly in retrospect, when you look at some of the words he used in the press conferences after those 2 games, it kind of makes sense. At the time, we didn't see it coming, but with the benefit of hindsight, the writing, maybe not so much the writing was on the wall, but you could see signs that he was approaching the end of his tenure. Australia did not have much time to find a replacement coach. I think they had, from memory, about their next block of 2 games were in another month. So they needed a manager and fast. Wow. Tony Popovich was a free agent. Football Australia turned to Tony, and he's been in a job ever since. And he's been successful. Australia did not lose under Popovich for rest of the way in qualifying. They sealed qualification effectively with a 1-0 win over Japan in Perth, which I was there for. An 89th minute winner by Aziz Bayic against what was ostensibly Japan's B team. It was not a controlling performance from Australia, and this leads into my next point. Tony Popovich has been successful in his managerial career because of his attention to detail, because of his discipline, because of his communication on the defensive side of the ball. Australia have some really exciting young attackers, but this is going to be a Socceroos side who, if they escape the group, it's going to be because of a defense. They have a very strong defensive identity. They do not concede many goals. They do not concede high quality looks on goal. They have a lot of strong cohesion in the back three or the back five. Popovich likes to play a 3-4-3 with the wing backs dropping back behind the ball when Australia do not have possession. And yeah, they are going to grind out games under Tony Popovich. They're not going to out football other teams. They're going to pick their moments, probably in transition, but for the bulk of the games, they're going to be sat behind the ball. They will cede possession. Midway through the first half against Mexico, I think they had about 18% of possession. And even though that bears bringing up, I wasn't shocked by that.
Wow. Okay. So, man, the way I feel about this group, they're like obviously USA. They're the host, one of the host countries. They should get out of this group, but all of the teams are. It's not going to be easy to win any of these games. Each match will be very hard fought. They're all like it's 20 between each team, like the rankings, like if you even care about that stuff. But like Paraguay is the worst ranked, but they also play very good football and have a history of playing good football. I'm going to be very much entertained. I'm not like a hoorah USA person. I'm going to back the country because it's the US, but I'm not too. I'm just here to watch some good football. Truly.
I will say, don't come to an Australia game expecting like pretty football. It's going to be ugly. They're going to win games in moments and on the margins. They're going to be happy to, cede possession, as I said. But even in that Mexico game the other day, yeah, they only had 20% of the ball, for a lot of the first half. They also weren't giving Mexico many scoring opportunities. Mexico had 2 sights on goal pretty much the entire game. Yeah, they scored one of them, but that was pretty much it for the entire game. They didn't really trouble Matt Ryan and the Australian defence outside of those 2 chances. And from a defensive point of view, that's the goal. Conceding wouldn't have been in Tony Popovich's plan, but he would have been happy with the overarching structure of how they defended in that game. The fact that Mexico had to go sideways to sideways, backwards, sideways to sideways. They weren't tearing them up through midfield, and that would be a pleasing thing. And just on the evenness of the group, I can make an argument that I think Turkey and the US, I think I could see them both finishing anywhere from first through to third, and I could see Australia and Paraguay finishing anywhere from second through to fourth. Like, I think pretty much anything is on the table with this group. As you said, it's one of the most even groups. I think it is the most even group at the World Cup. I could see, Turkey. I think Turkey. I've got Turkey and the US going through 1-2. Australia bagging a third place spot into a round of 32. But I don't think Paraguay are going to be a traditional fourth place team. I think they're going to be competitive. If they finish second or if they finish third ahead of Australia and Turkey or US slipped up somewhere along the line, I wouldn't be shocked at all. In fact, I'd kind of be surprised if it goes according to plan.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's the US, the way that they played against Senegal for most of that game was very good to see, but that hasn't been how they've been playing before that. So, what will we get of them, and then also how will Mexico continue in Canada? That's obviously going to be interesting. Yeah, I plan on going down to Kansas City, and I don't have a ticket, but I'm gonna watch around and see the ticket prices drop, and if anything becomes fun enough, I'll go to those games. And I know a couple of the writers covering England, so and just Kansas City's a beautiful place to be at. So that's going to be my World Cup plans. Unfortunately, not getting to California, but I do have some friends in that area. If you need any recommendations for anything, feel free to ask anytime. Uh, let's talk about the squad. Who would be in? It could be one player, it could be multiple players. If it's like because you talk about their defense, key players in the attack, the midfield, and the defense.
But offensively, the two players that stand out, or three if you count goalkeeper Matt Ryan, who's the team captain, such an experienced player. This is his fourth straight World Cup, a very dependable pair of hands or pair of gloves in goal. Doesn't really put too many feet wrong. A very well-respected veteran. Just helped Levante avoid the drop in La Liga in Spain as well. So he's coming into the World Cup in a bit of form. Are Australia going to play a 3-4-3 or a 5-4-1 when they don't have the ball? Out of the three centre-back spots, two of them are locked on. First one's going to be Harry Souttar from Leicester City. He's about 6'7". He is a quote unquote large lad. Is the I believe that's the technical term, but very confident on the ball, very good defensively. He was one of the heroes of Australia's last World Cup. Played very well, coming off a torn ACL in Qatar at the 2022 World Cup. This time around, he's coming off a torn Achilles, although he was able to get back to full fitness in the lead up to the end of the English Championship season. Played a couple of games for Leicester at the back end of the season. Looked quite good. I watched him play at Blackburn Rovers, who are my team, and I thought he stood out. Didn't look like he'd been missing for more than 12 months. So that was really promising to see. I think against Mexico, he was one of Australia's best players, and that was his first national team game since November 2024. So good to see Harry Souttar back. You cannot miss him because he is so tall, but he is commanding in the air and on the ground. And the centre-back one of the centre-backs who's going to play alongside him is a young man by the name of Alessandro Ciccati. He's from Perth, my hometown. He's 22 years old, plays for Parma in Serie A, and has been an ever-present for them. Last year, he became the youngest ever Socceroos captain in 44 years when he skippered the side against New Zealand. And he's also captained Parma on three separate occasions this Serie A season. And he's just 22 years old. But that speaks volumes about his leadership. In terms of the way he plays, he's a Rolls Royce of a centre-back. Like, he doesn't get phased by anything. He just is so composed on the ball, so cool, calm, and collected when he doesn't have the ball. He's the sort of defender that you want in your team because he just doesn't seem to panic.
Okay, I'll keep an eye on him then. Okay, cool. Who do you got in midfield?
In midfield, I'm slightly cheating because I'm using a wing back. But this wing back's going to be, I think central midfield is going to be Jackson Irvine and Aidan O'Neill. That would be my expected midfield pairing. But the real threat from midfield or from wing back will be Jordan Boss, plays left wing back. He's 23 years old, plays for Feyenoord, and he's been in electric form in the Dutch Eredivisie this season. He is Australia's most important player for me, not just defensively, but because I touched on earlier, Australia are going to be counter-attacking a lot. They're going to be playing on the break in transition. And Boss is deadly quick. He's very good with the ball in tight situations, and he is explosive coming out of defence and on counterattacks. For a side like Australia, who are going to be somewhat reliant on that, he is going to form a huge part of their attacking game plan, their attacking structure. And beyond that, given how explosively quick and physical he is, I actually wouldn't be surprised if off the back of a World Cup he earns a move to a German Bundesliga or an English Premier League side because he very much fits that style of play.
That is something that's always fun to watch throughout the World Cup, is like whose stock is going up, whose stock is going down.
who's going to earn a post World Cup move.
Exactly. Like who gets their club an extra 20, 30 million? Like who does anything like that? It's always fun to see. It might be him. All right. Who in the attack is a key player?
The main guy for me is Nestor Irankunda, plays for Watford. He is the most hyped Australian footballer I think I can ever remember. I think I was quite young when Harry Kewell was coming up the ranks for Leeds United, 25 years ago. Irankunda he has one of the most insane highlights reels you could see from a 20-year-old. And if you don't believe me, go on YouTube, just type in Nestor Irankunda highlights. He can score from 30 yards. He can beat two players off the dribble and put the ball in the back of the net. He'll do a backflip somersault to celebrate. This kid just oozes X factor and excitement. He's the sort of player, to use a popular cliche, the sort of player you'd happily pay money to watch week in, week out. I don't know if he's going to start for Australia at this World Cup. I feel like Popovich sort of sees him as an impact player off the bench, but he's got quick footwork. His acceleration is insane. And I was watching him in training on Monday, and he has a cannon for a shot. He was finding top corner consistently. It's very aesthetically pleasing to watch him hit a ball. So he would be the one, like, look out for him. He is someone, again, we talked about Boss's stock maybe going up. Irankunda, if he has a good tournament, I would put him right there with Boss. I don't think he's quite as important as Boss just yet in terms of way Australia want to play, but watch this space.
During the intro, I talked about how this is Australia's 6th consecutive appearance, and that after a while away, it really, I was going to joke and be like, it sounds like the country is really taken to the sport well, and there's like growth. Most of these players that you talked about were 22, 23, 25. Like, they're young players who we will inevitably see in the next World Cup. So do you think Australia is in like a really good moment of growth where like the country taking the sport seriously?
I think so. Australians have a very weird relationship to the world game. On one hand, the national team consistently gets, interest, particularly around World Cup time. The domestic league, the A League, is not quite it doesn't quite have a popularity that it did 10 years ago. It's kind of, it's on the wane. But it's on the flip side, it is producing young players. Like, a lot of these players started their professional careers in A-League clubs and have now gone on to the national team. So it is becoming it's a development league at this stage. Whether that the A-League has enough in it to actually develop players into world-class players, I think not. Most players are still going over to Europe to get the best out of themselves, which I think is the correct decision. That's where they need to be. But yeah, I think there's a lot of excitement around this A-League, or rather this Socceroos team, because you've got a lot of young guys like Irankunda, like Jordan Boss, like Motoro, who's scored 9 goals in 11 games for Norwich at the back end of the championship season and is emerging at a really good time, for the Socceroos. You've got a lot of young stars. Tony Popovich spoke about in his team selection press conference that he believes that these guys have been selected for, as good as they might be in 4 years, he has selected them for this World Cup because he believes they can make an impact at this World Cup.
Nice.
Yeah, I
Good.
didn't know that.
Okay.
All right, yeah. Actually worked out.
Is there a? I mean,
I don't know.
you're a journalist, so this is your thing: storylines, narratives. So, like, what is a storyline or a narrative that people should be aware of? Maybe one you're about to be talking about soon. Next time you have to write or do something.
I think, well, what I hope it is as I said, the emergence of this young talent. We've seen Jordan Boss and Nestor Irankunda and Motoro play well. Can they now do it at a major tournament? I've seen them play well for the national team. I know their quality. Alessandro Ciccardi, another one, young young Harrington, who plays for Colorado Rapids as well. He's 18. He's only just been, he only got his national team debut in March, and yet there's a chance he might start for that first game against Turkey in Vancouver. So what I'm looking for and what I'm hoping I'm writing about is this is a coming of age tournament for the next generation of Australians. I don't know if it's going to work out that way. I think we're in such a tough group that I wouldn't be shocked if we finished fourth. I don't think we will. I think we'll finish third and be in a position to vie for a round of 32 spot. But what I hope that when this tournament is all said and done, that Socceroos fans can look back and go, okay, we have our team for the next 4 years. We know who the stars are going to be at the next World Cup already.
Yeah. That I feel like for the last 2 or 3 World Cups, I've been talking about how we have this great generation. This will be what is needed for this country to take the league seriously. We have the WSL, we have the MLS, we have USL 1, or the USL, because it's multiple divisions now. It's still like, like I'm not in a bigger city, a bigger area, so like I have a couple of friends who do play soccer, but there are people, I have friends who are in leagues, and there are people in those leagues who don't technically have like a club team that they like, or let alone an MLS team. Like, I can say Barcelona and they know what that is, but they don't necessarily care. And so it's a very interesting culture here. I'm going to have to usually travel to really have too fun of an experience. So
we have a similar issue in Australia where there's way more fans of English Premier League and Champions League than there are of the actual A League back in Australia. Even though, if they wanted a live football fix, they could just pay $35 for a ticket and go watch their local team. There is we call them Euro snobs, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
This overlooking your own garden for the forest in the background, and even though that forest is a lot greener and is a lot bigger, there's a lot more to explore. That doesn't mean the garden in your own backyard isn't worth your time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you. I love it. Okay, which match do you think will be the most difficult for Australia in the group stage?
I want to say all of them, because I think you can make a case for all of them. I think it's probably that US game against Seattle, because it's the middle game of the group. There will be, they'll be coming off their first group games each. Yeah, I think the match against Turkey and Vancouver is going to be tough. The Paraguay game might decide Australia's World Cup fate.
Yeah.
But I think the American game, given that it's against the hosts, given that there is a bit of a kind of rivalry between Australia and USA, or at least Australia's really want to beat the US, just because, particularly given some of the comments from the media team, the pundits like Landon Donovan, and I've seen some Alexi Lala's comments today saying Australia not a good team. There we go. Yeah, this is how Australians have viewed it, and they would love Australians quite often outperform their expectations on the world stage. Certainly the Socceroos team has done so in the past, and they would love nothing more than to just do that once more.
Making it more difficult.
Particularly, they've got a chip on their shoulder. They will have seen Malala's comments, the Landon Donovan comments. I can't remember who it was. Mike Grella maybe mentioned that this group was a layup for the US. I can guarantee you the Australian fans saw that and went, we have to win in Seattle now, because it would be the best victory in our World Cup history.
Oh, man. Oh, great. Great to hear. Plenty of locker room material, inspiration. Made the round of 16 in Qatar, but that is only the second time that's happened for you. What is the expectation? I mean, you told me, for the most part, a general spot of where you think they can land, but I guess what would be a disappointment, like if you don't have hit this height? Yeah, like what is like the general expectation for Australia in the World Cup?
A disappointment would be going out at the group stage. I think they'll make the round of 32. That would, if the way I've kind of predicted the tournament is a tournament predictor, that would likely see them play Germany and Boston, which that's probably not a game I think they would win. Although I don't think this Germany team is a true contender. So there's an outside chance you might get an off day from the Germans in a game they should win. It's funny because they obviously made the round of 16 in Qatar. There's obviously more teams this time around. But I would actually say, this Australian team is more talented pound for pound than it was in Qatar. That was not a great Australian squad, but they just managed to find a way to get a win against Tunisia and then get a win against Denmark by just digging their heels in. It will be somewhat similar this time around, but there's a much higher ceiling for this Australian team. So, I think round of 32, I think they'll go through that group in third place.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Ben, for your time. Please plug yourself, let people know where they can find you and the things that you do.
You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Ben Smith 301294. Well, actually, hang on, I need to recheck my Twitter. I think I've may have made a boo boo there. But my Blue Sky is, I'm sure you'll tag it. But yeah, I'm Ben Smith 94 on Twitter. Ben J Smith Sport on Instagram, and just if you want to sling me a subscription of a West Australian to keep up with the Australian team during the tournament, go for
it. All right, Shady Gang, we will be back with more at the watch-alongs. We'll be doing some more. Stay tuned. Until next time, you know the vibes. Shady Gang, Shady Gang, Shady Gang.